What's up, everybody? On today's project, I'm going to show you how I took this nasty, disgusting basement wall and turned it into this. This has a faux concrete wall, a wall-hung TV, and an electronic fireplace, and I'm going to show you how to install all of that. Let's get going. So here's the existing wall in my basement. Disgusting, as you can see. Was hoping to be able to keep the drywall, but immediate change order. It was moldy, it was gross, and because it's my house, that's coming out of my pocket. So now that we've removed the drywall and done a bit of cleanup work, let's talk about the overall design of this entertainment center wall. So this wall is going to consist of a faux concrete topper wall, a wall-hung TV, and then an electric fireplace. So the next step was to actually order an electric fireplace. I got mine off Amazon, and it's going to come with some rough-in dimensions for the framing you're going to need to do around the fireplace, because in our case it's going to be recessed and it's going to fit in that penetration. So the first thing we had to do is cut our framing lumber to size and frame up an opening for the fireplace. So after cutting the lumber to size based on the electric fireplace manufacturer's recommendations, I then used a Craig pocket hole jig to drill pocket holes in the lumber so that I could assemble it all together using pocket hole screws. I'll link this Craig pocket hole jig in the description, but it's pretty easy and it's a great way to assemble frames like this one. After using pocket screws to attach all four sides of the fireplace frame together, I used a level and a tape measure to find the exact center of the wall, and then I clamped it in place and marked the location where I'd need to cut out the studs. Bar clamps are great for holding things in place temporarily, so pick some up if you don't have them. Now, I cut out these studs using a Sawzall. Don't freak out, it's not a load-bearing wall, everything's gonna be fine, I promise. So I cut along the marked lines, and the paneling in the back, I'm damaging it right now, but I'm gonna remove it later, so it's no big deal. So after cutting out those studs, I took my electric fireplace frame and I put it in place. I had to use a little bit of an elbow grease to get it to actually fit properly, but a couple hits with a hammer and we were golden. After checking that we were level, I secured the electric fireplace frame to the studs, and this doesn't have to be pretty, it's all going to be covered by drywall. Just make sure it's secure. And because we're installing a wall-hung TV, I wanted to install some blocking before I closed up the wall. That way, I'll have a nice, solid backing for where I hang the TV and where I mount the bracket. I won't have to look out for studs. So I cut that to size, and also please subscribe to the channel so I can afford a new shirt. What is going on? And then I secured that to the studs right above the electric fireplace in the center of the wall. Once all the framing is done, it's time to install drywall. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on drywall since I have another video on my channel showing how I drywalled the entire basement, but here's a time lapse of me installing that now. You want to sink the drywall screws so that they're slightly recessed into the actual drywall so it's not poking out, and then I went on the inside and I cut out the penetration for the electric fireplace. To cut the drywall around the fireplace, I used something called a jab saw, and I'll link that as well as all the other tools and materials I used for this project in the video description down below. And the last step in drywall is to actually tape the seams using drywall tape and joint compound. Check out that other video on my channel for more info on drywall. So after getting the drywall hung, I thought it would be a good idea to do like a faux concrete wall, and I found this product from DIYconcrete.com, which essentially allows you to transform your drywall into a concrete by putting a thin layer of concrete over top. I'll link it in the description. Let's apply it and see how it goes. So the first step in applying this product is to apply this waterproofing and crack prevention membrane that looks alarmingly similar to Pepto-Bismol. So after dumping this product into the paint tray, use a nap roller, and then we're gonna apply a thin layer of this to the entire application area. We're just gonna roll back and forth, kind of like you would paint anything else. Not rocket science, we just gotta get it done. So this membrane product is gonna serve two functions. One, it's gonna be a waterproof barrier since the concrete we're gonna apply is gonna have moisture in it. And secondly, it's gonna have a bit of elasticity, which is gonna minimize the amount of cracking that concrete will do in the future. Also, I don't want to miss the opportunity to show you guys the exact perfect positioning of a respirator on the face. And here's a look at our wall after we applied the waterproof membrane. After letting that dry, it's time to apply the base coat of concrete. The kit I ordered came with all the tools we're going to need, and to get this party started, I mixed water and the base coat of concrete in a mixing bucket and used a drill with a mixer attachment to mix it up according to the manufacturer's instructions. Next, I put down some paper to protect my floor, which was pretty stupid considering my floor is horrific at this point. And then you're going to apply the base coat of concrete on top of the membrane. You're going to use a hand trowel to do this, and you're basically going to go back and forth, making sure that you get a thin layer of coverage across the entire wall. I won't bore you by showing the entire application, but here's what it looked like after we applied it, and here's what it looked like after it dried. Next up, we mixed up the finish coat of concrete the exact same way as before, combining water and the finish coat and mixing it up with a drill mixer, and then we applied it just like before. In hindsight, I wish I would have went with a darker hue of concrete. They make some pigment powder that you can add to the mix, which makes it a little bit darker. I think that would have looked better. I'm not saying this looks bad, it's just a little bit lighter than I would have liked. After letting the finish coat dry, I applied some wet look sealer to the concrete. This is optional, but I just wanted to apply this to try to keep it looking clean and minimize the amount of staining that would occur over time. So both the wall hung TV and the electric fireplace are gonna need an outlet, and I actually wired up an outlet on the other side of that wall since I have kind of a closet which is under the stairs. And if you want to learn more about the electric I ran in my basement, you can check out the video linked above. And there's a look at the outlet in comparison to where the fireplace is going to be mounted, and then I went through all the electrical checks to make sure that it was wired up properly. Quick disclaimer, all electrical work should be done by a licensed electrician. So at this point, we're getting to the fun part and we can start installing the electric fireplace. First, we need to remove the faceplate, and to do that, there's a mounting screw you need to pull off, and now I'm going to take off the faceplate in preparation for the installation. Remember, we framed around the perimeter, so actually screwing this thing to the wall is going to be a breeze. So at this point, I took the fireplace and I inserted it into the penetration. Fortunately, we pre-measured and we did everything right, so it fit in there just like it should. And then I took the faceplate and put it on preliminarily just to make sure that it was going to cover the edges and that we did a good job on the installation. After I was happy with it, I took the faceplate off again, confirmed that the fireplace was perfectly level, and after checking that, I used the provided hardware that came with the electric fireplace, and I mounted the electric fireplace to the wall using the 4 screw penetrations as shown. After installing the last screw, I took the faceplate, mounted it on top of the fireplace, and then I reinstalled the set screw to lock it in place. After that, I grabbed the plug and I hooked it up to the power supply, which is our 20 amp GFCI outlet that we installed previously, and here's how it looks. Next up, we're going to install the TV, but before that, I installed some MDF trim board on the sides of the wall and also some baseboard at the bottom to cover up those unsightly seams. Now, for the final and best part, I installed a 65-inch Vizio TV. I bought the mounting bracket online and it was super easy to install because we put the blocking in previously. So I knew exactly where that was and I just screwed it directly into that blocking. Then I had to drill a hole for the electrical connection going from the TV to the outlet. And then we took the TV cable, thread it through that hole, and then we mounted the TV to the bracket we installed previously. And with that, this project is complete. Let's take a quick reminder look of where we started. And here's a look at the final result.
We've been driving around, singing songs way too loud because we wanna. Picking up our love friends, fill up the car till it bends because we wanna. Yeah, we just wanna have fun. The trunk's full of wine.
Okay guys, that's a wrap on this video. If it helped you out, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel, this channel, for more DIY content like this. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.